You're working hard, you're doing everything right, and yet you're still being passed over for promotions and raises. What gives? Today, we're gonna get into it. I'm breaking down exactly why hard work alone isn't enough to get ahead and what you can start doing instead without having to be pushy, inauthentic, or someone that you're not. You do not have to change who you are in order to get ahead, but we might need to change how you show up. If you are an empath or a highly sensitive professional, I promise you this video will change the way you navigate your career. So, cool, right? Let's get into it. But first, why hard work isn't enough? You guys know, promotions are not just about effort. They're about visibility, leadership, and strategic positioning. The people who get promoted are not always the hardest workers. You've seen this in your workplace. They are the ones who, A, are seen as leaders even before they have a title. They advocate for themselves and make their contributions known. And sometimes that looks prettier than other times, but they're doing that for themselves. They're building relationships with the right people. And most importantly, they are aligning their work with what the leadership team most values. And for empaths, all of this can be tricky because it doesn't always feel comfortable being seen or speaking up or advocating for ourselves. There are a bunch of mistakes that I made early on in my career and that I see my clients make very early on in our working relationship. The biggest one is assuming that your work will speak for itself. Because here's what actually happens when your work is super on point. And I know you know this. More work naturally comes your way because you're so good at it, but more recognition doesn't always come with that. 2, you become the go-to person for support because people know that you're dependable and will get it done. But what happens is that a lot of times higher ups won't see you as a leader, they'll see you as a doer. And you might also get stuck in that same role waiting for someone to tell you that you're ready. And meanwhile, people getting promoted aren't necessarily better at the job than you. They just know how to be seen. So it sucks, it's unfair, but I'm gonna help you get unstuck. There are 3 things I want you to start doing right now. Number 1, we are gonna keep a wins list. It is really natural for you, I'm sure, to downplay your success. There are a lot of layers to that. It could be imposter syndrome, people pleasing, all the things. But I want you to start keeping a private list of your accomplishments. Did you lead a project? Did you solve a problem that no one else saw? Did someone compliment your work? Whatever it is for you, I want you to write it down, and not because you need to prove it to yourself, but because you need to see your own value and be able to step into that and own it. So try this. At the end of each week, just jot down 2 to 3 small wins. And I'm gonna put a worksheet in the comments below that you can use. It's something that my clients use to track this week after week, because when you go up to your boss in 6 months at your review and ask for a raise, you don't wanna forget all of these things. We need to see it on paper and have the full image of that when we go in to ask for that promotion or raise. Second, I want you to speak up just a little more. So if you tend to stay quiet in meetings, challenge yourself this week. Say just one thing, anything in a meeting, even if it's just agreeing with a colleague. We could also ask a question that shows you're engaged, or share a small insight related to your work. Like, we don't have to dominate the room. We can start showing up in really small ways. And what will happen over time is people start to get more comfortable with your voice. They start to expect your voice, and they're gonna start asking you for feedback directly. And that's how you're gonna know that what you're doing is making a difference. But we just wanna make sure that we're showing that we are a contributing part of this team by contributing something to every conversation, even if it's just that tiny little thing, a question or a comment, or acknowledging someone else's comment. Right? We just need our voice in the mix. Okay, third and final, and this is probably the most important, we need to let leadership know what we want. If you don't express interest in career growth, your boss might assume that you are content and happy where you are, because a lot of people are. But if you're trying to grow in your company, you need to make sure that people know that is a goal for you. And think about it. The people who tend to get raises or promotions, they're the ones who are asking for them. So this doesn't mean that we have to go in and demand a promotion tomorrow, but we can start planting the seed with just simple things like, hey, I really enjoyed leading that project. I'd love to do more work like that in the future. Or I'd love to know what skills I should focus on to grow in this role. So these are just really small conversations that position you for the next step without feeling pushy. And what's really nice about those kinds of conversations is that, it's not just about money or making demands. You're actually showing that you want to grow in that company. So by showing that you're invested in your work and your company, it does make conversations around money and other benefits a lot easier and a lot more authentic, right? And it positions you for those kinds of things when new opportunities come up within the company, things that you don't even know are potential opportunities yet. Because you've spoken up and you've kind of, raised your hand that you want to grow and do more things, you're going to be one of the first people they think of when those opportunities come up. So when that next one-on-one with your boss, ask what skills they think would prepare you for the next step in your career. Okay, so this week we're going to start tracking our wins and we're going to challenge ourselves to speak up in at least one meeting. Easy peasy. And check out that worksheet below if you need a little bit of help with this. In the next video in this series, I'm sharing simple, authentic ways to increase your visibility at work. Because what we want is to position you for promotions and raises without having to feel gross, without having to play office politics. All right, I'll see you over there.